Today at Aviation Connect, we are joined by Dr. Abhay Pashilkar, who is a director at CSIR-NAL. Now, CSIR-NAL is India's premier research and design development agency when it comes to civilian aircraft and platforms. So, Dr. Pashilkar, thank you very much for joining us out here at Aviation Connect of ET Infra. Could you give us a brief outline? Where is NAL currently in terms of the design and development of civilian aircraft and associated ecosystem?
So thank you for being with us today at Aero India 2023. Today, as you can see behind you, the SARAS MK II, which is a very important project for us. Before this, we have been working on a two-seater HANSA aircraft, the HANSA Next Generation or NG. This aircraft is targeted for ab initio training, which means that all the young pilots or those who want to become pilots, who want to get a commercial pilot license, this aircraft is meant for them. We have just completed last year all the testing, design, all of that, and we're just waiting for the final type certificate to be issued to us from the Indian DGCA. So coming back to the SARAS MK II, which is our big project right now, it's currently in detailed design, and very soon we should start getting the drawings, after which we will get it fabricated in India. And this is one big project where we are involving the Indian industry, both in the design phase as well as we have our partner, the HAL, which is going to make the production version of this aircraft. We will of course make a couple of prototypes and we will flight test them, and we will again work with the certification agency to certify. So that's the plan. Apart from this, we have the RTA. This year we have brought the mock-up of the cockpit, as you can see there, and there's been a lot of interest from the general public. The RTA is a 90-seater, whereas the SARAS is a 19-seater.
Right.
So this 90-seater aircraft is designed to address the civil aviation market of India, which is primarily through the UDAN scheme. A lot of new routes have opened up, and on those routes there is a need, we believe, for a larger turboprop aircraft to operate. As you know, in India, our GDP has been growing steadily, and today we are the 5th largest in terms of GDP. Our per capita also is growing, and so therefore the people have the propensity to travel. And among all the different modes that we have today, whether it's rail or road or waterways, the aircraft, travel by aircraft or the through that means is more suited because especially those who value the time, they would rather pay a little more and then be able to, for example, travel from one part of the country to the other part of the country within a few hours. Have their discussions, meetings, whatever, and they would rather spend less time traveling and more time being in the place that they need to be. Another advantage of air transportation is that you basically need to provide an airport at the source and at the destination. It is not required to acquire any land or any path all along the way. Those are the challenges for a big country like ours. So therefore, air transportation is well suited for the demands. And as our GDP is growing, like I said, we will very soon become the 3rd largest in terms of GDP in another maybe middle of next decade. And this growth is continuously spurring the demand for efficient modes of transportation. And we are seeing therefore year on year 10% growth in civil aviation alone. And this has been there for decades now, and we expect that this will continue further. Air penetration in India is very low, and therefore the base is low, and therefore we see great potential in that. And these aircraft programs I talked to you about, the SARAS MK II, the HANSA, which is the trainer, and the RTA, which is we have currently in the preliminary design or the conceptual design phase. These are all targeted to address that demand. So that's as far as the civil aircraft is concerned. We also, apart from civil aircraft, traditionally we have been working in all other areas of aerospace. We also have a small unmanned vehicle here right next to you. This is meant for electric vertical takeoff. So many places you may not be able to find a long runway, and in those areas when you want to quickly launch unmanned vehicle, maybe for surveillance, maybe for some other purposes, it makes sense to have vertical takeoff and landing, and that's how this has been designed. It's got those 4 rotors which help to lift it up, and thereafter there is this rotor at the back which is then used for the actual transportation, and then again for the landing and descent. We also do a lot of technology development apart from making aircraft like these. So this is called the Q plane. In support of that and in support of all the major programs like the LCA Tejas, CSIR-NAL has been very active in developing, for example, Wankel engines, carbon composites, both the structures as well as today we have a pilot plant and a research and development activity for the fibers themselves. We are working closely with Indian industry to develop the prepregs, which is essentially fibers in which the resin is impregnated beforehand, makes it more efficient to manufacture those. Apart from that, CSIR-NAL traditionally has been providing a lot of testing facilities. All the launch vehicles, satellites, and the fighter aircraft programs of this country and the missile programs have used our wind tunnels and test facilities for for the data that we generate for them. Also, basically, in terms of the carbon fiber, we are now working very closely with industry to transfer technology. So, as part of our industrial outreach, we work with many industries wherein we develop the prototype technology, whether it is aircraft or whether it is engines or whether it's basic materials like carbon fiber, and then we endeavor to transfer those technologies, and ultimately it's the industry which produces those in large numbers. The SARAS MK II entire design is being done within NAL with the help of some of our private sector partners and also HAL. For the RTA, from beginning we are planning to have this development in a partnership mode, keeping in view that it is a bigger aircraft. So we have currently HAL and the DRDO as our partners in the conceptual design stage, and we are actively looking for industry and also both in India and abroad to come forward and become a partner in the supply chain, design development, and eventually in the production after the aircraft gets certified. So that is how we look forward to basically contributing to Atmanirbhar Bharat in the long run. I must also say that we have received very good support from the Ministry of Civil Aviation, under which all these aircraft programs are eventually being considered. The ministry itself has done a wonderful job of starting the UDAN scheme, and we understand that they are working closely to provide leasing and financing to our airlines, as well as working to see how the fuel cost can be reduced. So in the RTA project, we are working very closely with the Ministry of Civil Aviation to essentially kickstart civil aircraft ecosystem, design, development, manufacturing in this country. So that's what I would like to say.
You did introduce the SARAS, and SARAS has been for a long time your flagship project. You did talk about that the prototypes of SARAS MK II would be built. Give us a timeline when we can expect those prototypes to start operating.
So we are expecting very soon the drawings to be released, and 1 year down the line, we expect that once the drawings are released progressively, we will start our manufacturing process. and sometime next year we should have the components coming together, and we are then able to essentially roll out the aircraft. And once that is complete, then the flight testing part will start. And about a year after that, one can expect to receive the certification. And thereafter, we need to, of course, I said HAL is our production partner for the SARAS MK II for the launch, and we are working with them closely so that they take up the production and make the first 15 numbers. So that's the kind of timeline that we have. The project itself is up to 2026, by which time we have to complete all of these activities.
How many prototypes you are planning to develop?
Typically, we are looking to make 2 prototypes, and maybe we will consider making a third one. The whole idea being that it's very important to complete all the flight testing and present all the information analysis so that we get certification soon. So therefore, as of now, it is 2 prototypes, but we will seriously consider making a third one to speed up the certification process.
Your next big project would be the RTA. You did mention about it briefly. Give us an outline when we see that full-fledged program to actually start off. Even RTA would have to need a prototype for the flight testing and all. And so the prototypes, even for RTA, when we are going to see it, and also for the RTA, because the government has been pushing for domestic manufacturing of aircraft within India. So what sort of financial support are you getting from the government? Either it's from the Ministry of Civil Aviation or from any other departments of the government?
So as I mentioned, for the RTA, we are working with our partners, HAL and DRDO, and the Ministry of Civil Aviation is the nodal ministry. We have received very good support from the Ministry of Civil Aviation. They are going to basically pilot a special purpose vehicle. The government on their part have given us an in-principle approval, which helps us through this SPV mode to have a very efficient execution. So the SPV is essentially a company which will then receive the funding from the government, which is already in principle they have agreed, and find partners either at the aircraft level or at the component level, tier 1, tier 2, and also design partners. And then that consortium of both government labs like ours, HAL, DRDO, where certain knowledge base exists, and the Indian industry as well as possibly global partners will then take this project forward. The advantage of having that partnership would be that it will speed up the process. Where the technology exists or the capability exists, we are looking forward for those partners to be with us, both in India and abroad. As of now, we are in the project definition phase. It has started last April and will conclude by September of this year. This is again, like I said, being done jointly with HAL and DRDO. So we are well on the way to that, and as you can see, based on that, we have developed this simulator. The purpose is to attract people and to get the buzz going about this aircraft, and also to attract potential partners. We have already had a very good couple of days, and today also we are intending to continue our discussion with potential partners, both in India and abroad. So therefore, once the project definition phase is over, we will be providing a detailed project report to the government. The detailed project report essentially contains what needs to be made, designed, how it needs to be done, and who are possible partners within India and abroad who can work on this project. So once that report is accepted by the government, that is when the full-scale engineering development will be launched. So you can expect that to be taken up sometime after the detailed project report is launched. Important thing is we have 2 options in front of us. One is to take an existing aircraft and improve it and then go ahead. And the other is to be complete clean sheet design, starting from basics. So we are right now looking to see which could be potential aircraft which can be modified or improved in terms of performance to be state of the art or better. We are also working on a clean sheet design, and so therefore we are keeping both those options open. It is expected that our time schedule after the full-scale engineering development is about 6 to 7 years, depending on which model we opt for. Obviously, the model where we have the airframe already designed would be a little faster. Nevertheless, it will take that much time for the same process of detailed design, rollout, flight testing, certification to happen within the country, and therefore, basically, what we are aiming for at this stage is to attract as many partners as possible. One advantage of having partners who are sharing the risk is that the funds get divided and the market gets increased, because if we are able to meet not only Indian demand but also have a configuration which is able to meet some other regional aircraft demands, then we get a bigger market and it makes it attractive for our industry to produce it in large numbers. So that's the thought process, and that's what we are working towards.
So you did talk about the SPV. Now, if you could give us a sense within the SPV, obviously NAL will be one of the key
NAL, HAL
partners.
and DRDO are already partners in that proposed. However, we are very keen to have the Indian industry as well as any global industry which would be interested if our visions align, then that would be ideal.
Right, because in the private sector now the Tatas have already started or in the process of starting manufacturing.
Yeah.
So definitely they've become a very suitable private sector partner for you. You also talked about the funding. Would you give us a ballpark number, how much of funding that you are expecting or is required for this RTA project?
So like I mentioned to you, typically $1 billion for full-scale engineering development, and then subsequent production will be done by industry. So typically overall, it's something like $2 billion of investment for a clean sheet design, as they call it. So the derivative design where we take an existing aircraft would be probably less expensive in that sense, but that's the kind of ballpark figure. So the government has already in principle approved the full-scale engineering development, and we will be looking at private partners to essentially do the manufacturing part of it.
So you also have your drone project separately. That's a drone you're also looking. And India actually is getting a very burgeoning drone ecosystem.
Absolutely.
Where a lot of startups have also come in and they're doing quite well.
Yeah.
So within the drone development and design, give us an idea. Is CSIR-NL going all alone? Are you also collaborating with the new emerging startups?
In fact, what I can say is in the quad rotors, hexa rotors and the octocopters, we have successfully transferred technologies to at least 4 of our industry partners, and there's been a good interest. We have primarily focused on drones which are used for agricultural survey or spraying, crop spraying and so on, drones which are used for vaccine delivery, and drones which are used for geomagnetic survey. In fact, just last year, we successfully completed geomagnetic survey in the Leh-Ladakh region, and our drones performed very well there. Apart from that, we also continue to develop various applications which might be of interest to the paramilitary forces, and we are in touch with them to understand their requirements. And then the Q plane on my left here is an example of such a vehicle which was quickly put together at request of our paramilitary forces for a vehicle which takes off vertically. So it's a eVTOL as we call it, and then lands vertically as well. So this is how we work typically based on the user side requirements. What I can also say is looking, as you rightly said, there are lots of private enterprises and companies, startups, which are very active in this space. So we are very happy to transfer our technologies to anybody who is interested. Our portfolio is out there on the net as well, and people are welcome to join hand with us. We also have a incubation center within NAL called MK Aero, and those who wish to receive our technology or incubate with us are most welcome to join up with that.
Right. And my last query will be around Aero India. So obviously this is the mega event where in terms of India's aerospace and defense industry. So in the last 2-3 days, how is it for has been for NAL? Like in terms of you did talk about you have met a lot of other partners and other manufacturing entities out here. Give us a brief how it has been for CSIR and NAL.
So what I can say is because we have put all these models out here, it has been great to hear from some of our potential customers and also some of our potential partners, mainly from point of view of what they would like our aircraft to do for them. That's a very good input for us, for our designers. Like I said, we are in the detailed design for SARAS, and that helps us a lot to fine-tune the aircraft to their requirements. The SARAS MK II is meant for three roles. One is, of course, a passenger carrier or a troop carrier for either the civilian or the military, respectively. The other application would be an air ambulance role. That has been of great interest to some of our potential customers. And the third one would be a VIP role where you have more luxurious seating and more space and all in the cabin. So we have configured the aircraft for all these three roles, and we look forward to the day when the aircraft will fly in the Indian skies, and our customers, I hope, will love the effort that we have put in and will enjoy will take the benefit of that design.
So thank you, Dr. Pashilkar. It was really nice of you to take out your time in a very busy schedule and engage us out here at Aviation Connect. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Dev. Thank you for being here with us today.